That's the state of Georgia. I'm like, oh, you gotta go. Hey, Barbara.
Hey, Jay. Hey, Ron.
Good. This house got it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they did. Happy anniversary to the Parsons.
I promised her dinner and a show. This is the show.
32 years and how I lived there, I said, gosh, I thought you were just 25. Call the meeting of the planning and zoning to order. So glad to see all you people here with us tonight. We'll start our agenda tonight with the invocation. If you'll all stand and join us, please. Dear Father above, we come to you tonight, giving you praise for the very many blessings you've given us. Lord, we have so much tonight to pray about. We pray for our town, we pray for our country, and we pray for this world that we're living in. We have so many things that are bothering us now and hurting us now, but we know that you're in charge and you're going to make things better. We pray for a cure for this virus. We pray for peace among all of our people because everybody is important. We know that. And Lord, as we come to you tonight, we hope you will help us to make the right decisions for our town, for the people that live here. And Lord, just be with us in everything we do and in everything we say. These things we ask in your precious, heavenly, and holy name. Amen. Amen. Now have a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to have the approval of minutes from the April 23rd meeting. Have you all had a chance to read the minutes? Do I have a motion that we approve them as read? I'll second that motion. Second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Before we start this meeting tonight, I have just a small letter that our attorney wrote, because you know that we have had this same meeting before for this property, and she wanted us to let you kind of know why we're having another one. It's very short, just kind of let you know and keep you informed. As you may recall, can everybody hear me? Okay. As you may recall, the Planning Commission heard this rezoning application on April the 6th, 2020. At that time, the Commission voted to table the application until an unspecified later date. The City Council then heard the application on April the 9th and voted to deny this rezoning application. Following the vote of the City Council, the applicant raised numerous legal challenges to the rezoning process as applied specifically to the rezoning application. While the city does not admit any liability for the legal challenges raised by the applicant, the city has agreed to rehear the application, which means the Planning Commission must also rehear the application. As we hear this case tonight, please refer only to the materials provided to you in connection with this hearing, including the current rezoning application and the analysis provided by Tim Prater and his department. And at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Tim for his explaining this.
Thank you very much. I've been asked to do a recap on the process of this piece of property. And just give some clarification on our maps. So in 2001, this property was brought before the City Council to rezone it from R44 to O&I to build a 3-story facility for assisted care. That application was approved. In 2004, they applied for a variance to build 102 units of senior housing instead of the 3-story building. That was approved. Then in 2006, they came back before the council and asked to build 146 residential cottage units and, 146 residential units total. 88 were cottages and 58 were to be in a 3-story building. And then the property sat vacant since that time, in 2006. To clarify our maps, we have a future land use map that we do every 10 years, and we update it every 5 years. And this map shows projections of what we think is going to progress in the city. This property is shown as residential because of the use that was going to be part of Southern Plantation. But the future land use map does not give zonings, it just gives categories of zones. Like it'll show residential or commercial or industrial, but it doesn't break it down into separate subsections. That's what we have our zoning map for. And if you look at the different colors on the zoning map, on the right-hand side, there's a chart that breaks it down into subcategories for the zonings. Like under residential, we have R44, R22, R16, and then multifamily uses, RM8, RM4, RM6. So when y'all are looking at the maps, and we have all these maps online, so when y'all are looking at these maps, you'll know the difference between what the future land use map is and the zoning map, if that makes sense. Anybody have any questions on that?
Can everybody hear back there?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay. So moving forward, we're here tonight to hear case R19-021. The applicant is G. Douglas Dillard from Dillard Sellers Attorney at Law. The property owner is Logan Miami LLC. The current zoning of the property is O&I. The proposed zoning is RM8. The address is 0 Tommy Lee Fuller Drive. The parcel number is LG060124B00. The use of the property is for residential, and the planning and development staff recommend approval of this application, and the applicant is here if y'all have any questions.
Okay, would the applicant like to speak now?
If you don't mind, Madam Chairperson, I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna be sure y'all hear what I got to say.
Please do, because it's really hard to hear when you got those things on.
Hopefully we're doing the social distancing thing anyway, so hopefully we'll be okay. As Tim said, I'm Doug Dillard with Dillard Sellers and Jeff Haymore, and I represent Steve Allen, who sits right there, who is the owner of the property. We have previously provided a thorough impact analysis with documentation in support of the application. We filed that with Tim, and I assume you have copies of that as well, which is a copy of the application and our justification. Good. Today I've also handed you a shorter version, and I'm going to take you through that if you don't mind, and I'll be brief as I possibly can. This application, as Steve said, and as Tim said, and as your attorney advised you, was before you on April 6th of this year, at which time you tabled the matter until the submission could be personal. The published notices for the public hearings on the application were deficient under state law, and the application is now back before you to correct those deficiencies and hopefully have a positive hearing so we won't be before that. The property before you and its relationship to surrounding uses is nicely shown on tab A. If you want to follow me along in the handout we've given you. That's sort of an overview of the property. As shown on tab B, the current zoning is office institutional, which allows all sorts of uses like business offices, hospitals, daycare centers, funeral homes, and nursing homes, to name a few. However, if you turn to tab C, since 2006, this site has been zoned for 146 residential units, consisting of 88 cottages, both duplexes and quadruplexes, and a 58 independent living units within a 3-story building with a clubhouse and 71 space surface parking. That's on tab C. We're asking the candidate to downzone the property to RM8. RM8 is a medium density residential use for 131 townhome units shown on the site plan before you at tab D. This is a 15 unit reduction from what is currently zoned and currently what this island is entitled. Not to mention the elimination of a 3-story retirement facility and a large surface parking. Each townhome will have a 2-car garage and will sell in the $250,000 range. These will be owner-occupied for sale townhomes. There will also be a nice amenity package for residents, including playgrounds and food. The concept renderings of the typical townhome, as well as the amenities, is shown on tab E, if you want to follow. Now, the property laid out on the site plan is actually based on existing streets and infrastructure on the property that was installed between the years 2004 and 2006. So we're looking at 15 years of infrastructure improvements. And the land has been sitting there idle. And that's shown on tab E. Our client purchased the property in 2017. Redevelopment around the existing infrastructure is the highest and best use of the property. It is in the public's best interest and will bring much needed revenue to the city. RM8 is the only zoning district that will ensure the redevelopment of the property. You've got to take into consideration this. Been before y'all several times over the last 15 years or so. It's currently zoned overnight. It's not been developed, and it's not going to be for those uses of West Virginia. I'm going to touch on the most important standards. As you know, the City Code, Section 11985, contains certain standards that you've got to follow. Tim's done a very good job in going through those standards. I'm going to highlight just a few of the ones that we think are most important. First, the proposed development is very much in keeping with the mixture of residential structures on the adjoining properties. This can be seen in the first image shown on tab A. These include apartment buildings, duplexes, single-family detached. Directly across Tommy Lee Fuller is the Alexander Crossing apartment development, which is also zoned RM8. Second, the RM8 district serves as a transitional buffer between the highway commercial zoning and uses like Ingalls, Goodwill, Sherwin-Williams Paint Store, as well as light industrial to the northwest, and the single-family residential zoning to the southeast. That's the park place that Loganville serves. This can be seen on the second page of tab B. Without rezoning, the current office and institutional zoning will allow potentially incompatible office and institutional uses within 20 feet of the single-family residential zoning to the southeast. This can be shown and seen on tab G. Third, perhaps for this reality, a comprehensive plan's future land use map recommends the future use of this property to be residential, not office, not for assisted care. The future land use map is found on tab H. This application is consistent with that future land use recommendation. Chapter 2 of the comprehensive plan identifies as high priority the need to attract new residents who already work in Loganville so they don't have to commute in. That's at tab I. In fact, this is important. In fact, 94% of Loganville's workforce leaves the city for employment, while 95% of the jobs within Loganville belong to people who commute daily into the city. Building housing that serves Loganville's workforces goes forward to solving that need. So our application, as found by staff, is wholly consistent with the comprehensive plan. They'll spend their money in Loganville rather than somewhere else. No one wants to see their families move away or on from housing. The comprehensive plan serves as a decision-making guide for local governments and officials. There's there to protect you. The public and the city and the comprehensive plan, so that when a decision must be made, like here, you can follow a previously planned course that has the input of the public, but when the time for the decision comes, the time for preparation is past. We're consistent with the comp plan, and we're asking for an opportunity to develop property that's laid vacant, dormant, and unproductive for now almost 20 years. 4, it's found by staff, traffic increase by the proposed development would not be increased to any greater extent than any other development on the property. As stated earlier, we're proposing 15 units less than the current zone. The traffic should be certainly no greater, but probably less. 5th and final, we agree to fund necessary sewer infrastructure upgrades. We're working with Chris Yancey on that. And finally, we're able to install a fence up to 8 feet in height along the side property line adjacent to the single family subdivision. So in conclusion, members of the Planning Commission, we ask that you send forth the recommendation of approval to the City Council. I'm here and Steve's here. We would like to reserve any time that might be available for a vote, and we're available to answer any questions the council might have.
Okay. Anybody on our committee have questions for us that you'd like to ask? If you do, please ask them now.
Infrastructure, we're going to update it.
Yes, ma'am.
Richard, do you have anything you'd like to? Amanda?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. And this is going to be, property, they're going to be for sale, they're not going to be rented.
For sale units, the townhomes, look out the two levels of
Actually, they're very attractive.
3 or,
we think we've got somebody that will be very good.
okay. Nobody else on this committee has any questions?
And you said only up to 3 bedrooms, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, if anybody in the audience has questions, we would like to give anybody permission to speak that wants to ask a question or talk to you. We're opening the floor, but we're asking you to please not talk more than 2 to 3 minutes, because one night we were here till after 10 o'clock. So, make your questions simple, and I'm sure that you'll answer them as best you can. Ms. Pat Pippins, I saw your hand first, and we need you to come to the microphone because he's putting this on tape so everybody can hear and see. So please speak into the microphone.
And you know I'm not that tall.
And just and give them your name first, please.
I'm Pat Pippin. I live at 916 Village View Circle in Loganville. And I'm not here to ask a question. I'm here to tell you about something and see if there's any way we might be able to work something out. I live in a 55 and over subdivision. Our home values keep going up every year. We've lived there 5 years and the value on our home has gone up over $70,000. We have people riding through our subdivision every day, knocking on doors and calling to see if we have any houses that are available. People don't put their houses up with real estate agents. It travels by word of mouth. If you don't know somebody, you can't get a house for sale in there. I have 2 people that have called me that I've got their names down. If a house goes up for sale, they want it. So we have people stalking the neighborhood, wanting to buy houses. Have you thought about possibly making this a 55 and over subdivision? That usually those are people that are wanting to downsize. They have money. They're usually cash deals. A lot of times there are people that have moved from other areas that have sold their homes there. They're living here maybe with a child until they can find a home. It's a wide open space. I mean, there are none in Loganville. And it would be a great deal if, I'm not here to play Let's Make a Deal. You seen that TV show? Well, I'm just throwing that out. I don't expect an answer tonight, but I'm just throwing that out that would be a great idea for somebody to think about, because we have so many old, people are at 55, people are retiring, or at 59, they're retiring now, and they don't want to have to cut a lot of grass, and they want to get out and travel and do things. And there are not enough in Loganville. And I just think that would be a great market for you. It would certainly take away from the school problems. And so it's just something I wanted to mention.
Do you want to make any response tonight? Okay.
Sure. I grew up in Decatur. And when I came back to practice law with Dad in Decatur, we had a farm in Redan, which we developed for a subdivision. Same time, he bought over 100 acres at the corner of Old Loganville Road and the Brushy Fork Creek Road. Some of you might know that place. Billy Ray Allen still has his landscape business there. We had an organic farm down there until 4 years ago. One of the things that I lived on 20 acre spread with horse barns and all this stuff in Reading. I'm not going to tell you how big it is because I'm ashamed to talk about it. But it was big. I now live in a 2,000 square foot condo in the heart of Buckhead. And I think I have died and gone to heaven. I got no food service, I got no yard guy, I got what it is. I'm in that group that you're talking about. It's scaling down. And we do 55 and above, we do age restricted and that kind of stuff. But from what we can tell from the market that is here, we don't need to do that. We build this facility, we're going to serve the needs of a lot of people that want to stay in Loganville, want to scale back down from their big home and give them a nice place to live, close to their kids and where they're growing up. So, in answer to your question, we're not anticipating 55 and older. Steve, correct me if I'm wrong. But we do believe that we'll serve that market because there's a tremendous need for folks that want to buy, that still want to own their own home, still want to have a master on the main, but they want to scale back, and we think this product will absolutely address that.
What, have you set a price on these?
$250 and up.
I'm sorry.
$250,000 and up.
I heard you all say that in right down.
What's the square footage? But we don't want to deal with kids either.
They don't want to deal with children.
Sure. Okay.
They don't want to deal with children.
Right.
Hey, I understand. I had 2 grandkids in my little condo here for the last 24 hours. I understand exactly what's going on.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come up? Okay. Please talk in, tell your name, honey, talk into the microphone.
Thank you. I'm Tammy Smith. I live in the Tammy Smith. I'm in the Toller Shoals subdivision, which is just right on the other side of the Alexander Crossing. And I have one question, and I have a short letter that one of my neighbors who is also cannot be here because she's on the Loganville Development Authority, which is also meeting right now. She asked me if I would read this letter on her behalf. My question is, with these being owned units, is there going to be a homeowners association? And if there is there going to be any limit on the availability of these turning into rentals. I know that my own daughter is a millennial who lives in North Carolina in a very desirable area, but she moved into a brand new townhome that the owner bought just to rent out. And if I could get a desirable tenant like her, that'd be great, but we don't know that. So I'm just curious whether there's an HOA and whether they would be able to rent the units. And so let me quickly read Trish's letter for you, and I will sit down. Thank you for permitting Tammy Smith to speak on my behalf as I am currently at the LDA meeting. I appreciate your listening to my heart regarding the property that is before planning and zoning this evening. Specifically, my letter is addressed to the owner of said property. The City of Loganville development has been a hotbed of discussion in Loganville for the past 7 months, which also includes your property on Tommy Lee Fuller. My family and I have lived off Tommy Lee Fuller for 23 years. We have seen traffic increase tremendously over the past 5 years. I've spoken to DOT numerous times over the years regarding the problematic intersection of Tommy Lee Fuller and State Route 20. Unfortunately, there is not a plan before DOT to remedy the dangerous intersection, not now, not in the future. Even though burdensome traffic is not legally sufficient to deny rezoning of property owned by Logan Miami, it is a huge concern for us who live in this area, along with overcrowding schools, etc. I've spoken with residents adjacent to your property at the retreat at Loganville and across the street from your property, at Village Place. Residents at the retreat were unaware of your plans to build a development that will alter their lifestyles. Their peaceful, quiet, tranquil existence will be history due to the enormity of your proposal. Residents at Village Place are well informed and most concerned. Additionally, I spoke with the president of the HOA of Village Place. She informed me of her concerns and shared how well that the homes sell in their 55+ community. I think that paragraph can probably summarize what she's already said. I'll skip through that. I've spoken to others about this idea, and they concurred. The consensus of Loganville residents welcomes development, just not overdevelopment. In fact, as I walked my neighborhood passing out flyers regarding this meeting, one of the neighbors said if this proposal goes through, he and his family will be moving. Sadly, I have heard and read repeatedly on our Concerned Citizens for Loganville Facebook page that if this rezoning passes, they will move as well. Residents have voiced their concerns for overdevelopment in our community. You, sir, have an opportunity to build what will bless our community or harm our community. You have an opportunity to change your proposal and build housing for 55 and over, which will complement those who have lived peacefully next door at the retreat at Loganville, formerly known as Southern Plantation. Our concerns regarding traffic, overcrowding our schools, stressing our public safety employees would not be a factor with a 55+ community. I implore you to search your heart and not just your bank account to do what is acceptable and beneficial for the community of Loganville. Your heart and soul are everlasting and will go on into eternity. Financial gain is temporary. To whom much is given, much is required. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Tricia Elliott.
You want to just think about this, or do you want to respond?
I would like to say something. We have 3 55 and older communities in the city limits of Loganville right now, and another one going right up Georgia 20. So I don't know how feasible that would even be.
Okay, sir.
I think the demand speaks for itself. You know, one of the things I think you got to focus on is what the property is currently zoned for. It's zoned for 88 cottages. It's zoned for quadruplexes and duplexes, which have no restriction on rental. It's also got a three-story assisted care facility. So I think where you've got the kind of demand that folks are talking about, 55 and older is sort of going to take care of itself. The answer to the homeowners association, yes, there will be a homeowners association. There will be a pool. There will be athletic. There will be a clubhouse. There will be a state-of-the-art competitive development. Now, that's not to say that somebody's not going to rent the house. But at the same time, we can talk about age restricted later on and restrictions on rental. But you got to be real careful with the Constitution when you start restricting somebody's right to rent a house. I know I lived in a little house in Decatur for a long time. When I moved out, I rented it out to another lawyer and his family who was getting started just like I did. So you gotta be careful when you do that kind of deal. I think it's something we certainly be willing to consider.
This is something that we have discussed before in our meetings. And even at 55 and over, if a person decides to rent their house, they can. As long as the owner can rent the house, that's my understanding from all Tim and I have talked about, because we've had a lot of discussion on this. It doesn't matter where your house is. If you own it and you want to rent it, there's not really anything the city can do about it. Am I right, Tim? We've really discussed this a lot, because we want to be sure we're doing everything right. This is rental. And I think that's very important that everybody know that. Also, another thing that you have to really think about is, bad as I hate to say this, we cannot include traffic in the building. This is something we can't do. And no matter what you will say, you can't do it. This is, if you study the zoning book, you cannot. If you want to say something about traffic, you need to talk to the DOT. And everybody preaches that to me all the time, because I talk about traffic all the time. But I see where you're coming from. Our main concern, I think, is, was this going to be rental property, or was it going to be for sale? That's one of the main things we're interested in.
If the covenants say you can't rent them, no, you shouldn't be able to rent them if the covenants say that.
That's correct. That's what's up in HOA, and it's not uncommon for HOAs to put restrictions on rental. But I'll say there's been a couple of cases that gone to Supreme Court that dealt with rental properties in Coney County late. And they were successfully restricting them. So it's possible to do. I can't sit here and tell you tonight that we're going to age restrict it or we're going to prohibit rental. We're going to open the door for sale units. But as a HOA, homeowner associations could develop articles of corporation that would limit or prevent that.
Okay. Okay, Paul.
Thank you. My name is Paul Smith, 8 Village Place, Wilmington. And 3 or 4 questions. First, just a comment.
I'll get it.
First, just a comment, please. You had mentioned earlier about the citizens being in favor of this. Well, I disagree, sir. That the majority of us are not in favor of this development, simply because I know we can't do traffic, but my legal eagle self pulled this up. Now, you're an attorney, you can probably tell me I'm full of something. Of course, increasing traffic and other inconvenience is not sufficient for an appeal. But this is DeKalb County versus Walensky, 1984. It says reduction in value of property and intrusions of noise, odor, and privacy can suffice to provide standing. Adjoining property owners who bear the brunt of the damage have standing. Now, I researched, excuse me.
Seriously, we listen to you.
Okay, the research, and I kept looking, is there an update to that? Because this is 1984 and in 1998 by the Supreme Court that said property owners that are directly affected by noise, by the brunt of change, we have standing. The issue is this, that was mentioned earlier with the retreat at Loganville. These people are unaware. We went to them, most of them are elderly, are home-ridden. They don't know. And our concern is, sir, you mentioned it, great segue, 20 feet, you said it. 20 feet property line from where you're building to where the backyard of these condos or these rental double duplexes is what I'm trying to say. duplexes are abut right to that property. They will be affected. Now, what I would like is for us to talk to them. They are unaware of it. Yes, they knew about it, but again, we're talking to different people who are not up to being mobile in some cases. So that's number one, that there is standing for people adjoining the property. They have a right to voice their displeasure. Number two, you had mentioned about the city involved. I'll read something to you from Walton County, Loganville Unified Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, 2017. It says, review and, if appropriate, update zoning and development code to ensure that the new development is compatible with the community's vision, especially regarding residential and commercial development, as well as natural and cultural resource preservation. So it is in our future planning that citizen input is important. That's what I'm here. I'm going to talk about it. And so these things are important that we need to consider. Number three, I know my time's short. Number three, you're looking today, we're looking 5 years from now. What is it going to be like in 5 years? We know you go down any limited, what is the square footage of this property, of the units? It was asked earlier, I did not hear. Do we have a square footage? 1,200 square feet for 3 bedrooms. Okay. You know that with limited square footage, most of the garages are going to get the furniture and belongings. That means there'll be parking in the driveway. Concern number 7 is street parking. Is there a way in your covenants? Is there a way in the restrictions that you limit street parking? I measured the street the other day, side by side. I think it's 24 feet. Tim, you might correct me if I'm wrong. 24, 25 feet. And I said, if 2 cars are parking next to each other, an emergency vehicle cannot go through there. Now, that's a fact. A fire truck, now, an ambulance can, but not a fire truck. So if there's parking on both sides of the street, it will limit access for emergency vehicles. That's just another point to consider on this. So I will conclude with that. One more thought. I would like for you, to look into us putting in a planned unit development, PUD, where we have more control over this. It's like an overlay. Tim, you addressed that today when I emailed you. Is that something we can consider of a PUD, planned unit development, where they get benefits, but we as a city get benefits from that? So I would like for you to consider us looking to making this development a PUD. And that way you can study the benefits of it and the downsides of it. But I know we have a PUD downtown overlay district. Is that right, Tim?
It's not a PUD.
What is it?
We do have an overlay district for Main Street.
Right.
We only have one property in the city that's zoned PUV.
Yeah.
It's down on 78.
Right.
Near Loganville Farm, that's never been developed. But currently we do have a moratorium on any rezones for multifamily. And here within the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at redoing the zoning ordinance as far as multifamily goes. I don't know, we haven't had the committee meeting yet, so I don't know exactly what all that's going to entail, but we are looking into that.
Good. My last 10 seconds here, please. This is from the city in Georgia, and it reads, the PUD, this district is established to permit greater flexibility and more imaginative design for development, capable, fully used residential and neighborhood commercial land uses. The PUD district is intended to promote an orderly, harmonious variety of housing options, along with higher levels of amenities, preservation of open space. And it gives protection to the city that we have more input in a zoning request. We have more flexibility in, example, street parking or things like this. So that was just something you should consider, that you could look into a PUD or PUA that will give us time to assess that. Number two, that we delay this in time to let the residents, the community next door, to have their input, because we did not contact them. And according to the Georgia state law, they have a right, they have standing. So I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Becky Martin, and I just have a few comments and questions. First of all, are you going to develop the property, or are you selling it to a builder? Because I know it came up when your other gentleman was here before. We asked him previous places you would.
Ma'am, if you'll step over, you will be speaking into the.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
we'd like everybody to back.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know if y'all, are you gonna develop this, or are you gonna, as in the other places, the other developments that were mentioned when the other gentleman was here, the units had been, when we researched his other, subdivisions that he had proposed, they were, either sold to D.R. Horton or Pulte or some other developer, so, or other builder, so are y'all planning to develop this, or are you gonna sell it to a builder?
What's up? Steve goes on that.
Yeah,
He's gonna sell it to the builder.
we have a builder on line up.
Okay. Okay, well, the reason I was asking that is because.
I'm not a builder, I'm a developer.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah. The reason I was asking that is because, as people had referred to, you can put in the covenants about no rentals, or you can put in the covenants for this or that. If you sell that to the builder, they will be making the covenants, correct? Not you.
Sir, you need to speak. We're YouTubing this so that everybody at home can hear this conversation too. So we're gonna have to have you speak into the speaker. If you want, yeah. You can join her up here.
Or she can finish asking her questions, and then he can get up and answer.
And then you said that you had mentioned a need of these properties, and I didn't quite understand where we had this need, when if you go right on the other side of Southern Plantation, there's two subdivisions that are going in there that have lots of houses already built and lots of lots that to be built that are like 2,000 to 2,400 square feet that sell for in the mid 200s. So I didn't understand quite how they were planning to, if I just don't see, from your standpoint, or from the builder's standpoint, I don't know how they could sell these for, 1,200 square feet. And when there's properties right there that would, or, more things.
When you finish your questions, you can go back and he'll come up and answer.
And then, did you say that the plans now, going back to the plans and the renderings you have of the way the buildings would look, is that the way the builders already proposed that?
Well, actually, it'll work out better
So
if we can hear everybody, because they want everybody to
So those were renderings from the builder, not, okay, so that would be the render, okay, I got you. Okay. So, and you said the 3 bedrooms, but the master would be on the master on the main floor? Oh, okay, remember that. Okay, well, that's just mainly, I was just wondering if you were going to develop them with other people, because they would have control of the covenants. And that was one of the problems before when the other gentleman was here, is he was promising, we'll put this in the covenants and we'll put this in the covenants. Well, he had no control over the covenants. That was one of our main problems before. So,
Thank you. And ma'am, I didn't get your name.
If I can make one clarification, I don't know that it was said that the 3-bedroom would be 1,200 square feet, but in the zoning ordinance, under section 119-213, the minimum square footage a 3-bedroom townhome or apartment can be is 1,200 square feet.
That's correct. My understanding from the build of the units would be bigger than that. That hadn't all been worked out, but I understand that they're talking about at least 1,600 feet and going up. This is from the builder himself telling me this, if we've been talking about everything through it. As far as the other questions, I don't know if I remember all of them, what she asked. Okay, those guys, fine. Anything else I can help you with?
Thank you so much. Okay, Terry, I know, oh, I'm sorry, sir. You want to say something else?
Yeah, let me just.
I just overlooked you, I'm sorry. Well, you will, if you'll pull the microphone up, though, so everybody can hear you.
You know, lawyers have a hard time having that, don't get the last word. Let me just say, I didn't say anything about citizens being in favor. We're here tonight asking it to be approved, but, as you can see, we don't necessarily didn't bring a lot of other folks in here, to try to persuade you one way or the other. We think the merits of the case are persuasive enough. Traffic, as you well pointed out, can't be used as a reason for denying something. And the 2 Supreme Court decisions make that very, very clear. The Lipinski case, which we're referred to, was a standing case. You had to prove that you had standing before the local government before you could ever even file a lawsuit. And that was involving a piece of property over around Emory. The 20-foot existing distance between existing, that's there now. They can come in there and put a 3-story building in there. We're going to come in there and put some townhouses. So the 20 plus, we're going to buffer it, we're going to put a fence, we're going to add landscaping and that kind of thing. Now, about updating the codes and making compatible zoning and having restrictions on rental and all that, that's a part of the homeowners association stuff. I'm not sure you as a council can put those kind of restrictions. Street parking, on-street and off-street parking will obviously be controlled by the homeowners association. And I'll just say my experience with those, and I'm not a condo lawyer as such from a transaction standpoint. We do a lot of zoning, multifamily, and condominiums. But when you're talking about restrictions, we are seeing more and more parking restrictions, the prohibition against the use of the garage for storage, making sure that it's a 2-car garage, limiting the on-street parking, and providing off-street parking for guests. So these things, to be competitive, these guys are going to have to do anyway. The last thing is planned unit development. In a lot of respects, this is not going to be a planned unit development in the sense that it's going to have commercial, retail, office, and residential. But it's going to be very much a planned unit development for these residential units. And it's going to be limited to the infrastructure that's already there. So if you're familiar with the property, you know the streets are already there. So we're not going to touch those streets. Those streets are going to stay the same. If you look at the site plan that we provided you and had the BOC, I think, we're showing where those streets are, and in the overlay, you can see where the streets are. Those streets stay the same. We got to work on the detention and some of the drainage and that kind of stuff. But that's all part of Tim's job and working with the city to get the infrastructure right. But we're going to be restricted to what's already there, and we're going to build a very quality development that I think we'll all be very proud of.
Terry?
Terry Parsons. I guess you've seen we have at this stage right now for a large number of units. We've been struggling with this as a city for a long time. We've been struggling with this as a city for a number of months with high volume, high density development, which is something that our city, at least as far as I've been able to tell, has been fighting against because of all the other development. You mentioned you were in Decatur. I go into Decatur all the time, and you can't go down the Dare Street, Drexel Avenue, or any other streets in Decatur where there aren't cars packed up because there are no driveways. And their houses are stacked on top of one another with families in 1,200 square foot homes. So I look at this, and what I see is an HOA that at one point will turn around and say, we're going to rent this place out because, yeah, traffic's going to be an issue, but it is a reality that anybody that buys in there, after about 6 months of sitting out of Tommy Lee Fuller for about 40 minutes trying to get out, which many of us have, y'all know it's true, that place will turn into an arms dealer. Now, I'll tell you this. If the developer, if you cared about our city, you cut the number down, you make the houses bigger, and you turn it into a real residential area, something that wouldn't have that kind of impact, but would be something that would be more in keeping with what a lot of us here have woken up to and would like to see. Now, I understand, I see here millions and millions of dollars, but I don't see anything that says love. Because if I want something like this, all I got to do is go 3 miles down the road to Grayson, there it is. Or I can go down the other direction. I can find it just about right in here. Tucker is getting ready to build 900 apartments and mixed-use development on Stone Mountain Industrial. I don't know where this target market is that y'all are talking about on income in Loganville that can support a $300,000 house, much less a townhome. Because if I got 300 grand, I'm going to buy a house. You've got a lot of houses around here that are being built right now. But that right there, I just don't see it as the vision our town wants to see. And if you care about our town as a developer, we'd like to see you maybe think about our town as opposed to, I see a lot of money being made there, but I also see an HOA 2 years down the road turn around saying, hey, we're going to rent out this whole place, and then we're going to be stuck with it. But all of y'all be gone. But we're the ones that are here. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, because I know that's your job. You're a developer. You go find places. But this is our town in the end when you move off, or when you find the next piece of property. And so we had that problem at Channel Hawk Road. We've seen it over by Terra. And so what we'd like to see, I'd like to see something smaller that has more of a vision of our small town that we're interested in. But that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, so
Why you give my name?
I'm sorry.
Why you give my name?
Gotta say your name.
Joanne Burns. Hi. So I'm just gonna kind of piggyback on what everybody else says. And as Mr. Parsons just said, the citizens have sat in this room month after month after month since December, listening to this developer came through and did this study, and this developer came through and did the other study. We're being told that there's a big market. People want to rent apartments. Now you're telling us there's a big market for townhomes. I don't know how much time you've spent in our city. I don't appreciate people that don't live here coming here and telling us what's going to work and what isn't going to work. I live in a town of color. I know this area. I've been living here, 13 years? You take your life in your hands. I don't care how many other cars you put on that road. 15 less units isn't going to make that much of a difference. You've got, like it's been pointed out, you've got those seniors in the cottages next door. You're putting too much on them with this unit. Paul made a great point. I think that we do need to put this off and let those folks come in because don't know what's going on. But I mean, I'm just asking. I'm asking you to really reconsider this. I know you don't care. You don't give a rat's about us. We get that. But please take a minute and consider what everybody in this room is saying. You don't live here. We do. So we'd love to welcome you. If you could just meet us halfway with a lot of great suggestions that have been made here tonight. That's all I got.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to talk? Anybody on the committee have anything else you want to say?
One more.
Okay. Do I have a motion that we accept our, he's already talked. Well, I hate to turn anybody down, Paul, but.
Well, Ms. Janice, I have not spoken. May I speak?
Okay, let's.
My name is Andrea Weather. And I live in the Village Place subdivision.
We need to name that.
I just said my name and I gave my address too. Andrea Weatherford, Village Place subdivision. I guess my question to you, Mr. Allen, would be, when you purchased the property, it was zoned O&I. What were your intentions at that point? We care about our city. I've actually known Mr. Dillard for many, many years from Redan. And I know Mr. Dillard is a high-priced lawyer that's going to come in here and he's going to fight for you to do what you want to do. But can you lay your head down at night and go in with what we see here and ruin our city and sleep good at night? We want to develop our city the right way and in the right time. But and I know we cannot use traffic. But I'm telling you right now, if you spend time in our city and you come out of my subdivision and you try to take a left over Georgia 20, you're taking your life in your own hands. I have children and grandchildren that I care about here. This is not what we need. We're asking you to meet us halfway and do something that would be cohesive for our city. Planning and zoning, I'm very disappointed that none of you have had any questions. I know we've been here, done this before.
This is not the first time we've been over all this. Most everything that we've heard tonight, we've heard before.
Exactly. And there was a motion to deny before granted. Y'all sent in a less than desirable person to present this. It was a mess the first time it was presented. But that's what I want y'all to think about. Can you lay down and sleep at night knowing what you're doing to the city of Loganville? Thank you.
We've had so many discussions on this before, and I don't want anybody sitting out here to think that we have not discussed this over and over and over and been down and walked over that property and done everything we possibly can, but we also have laws that we have to go by. We have rules we have to go by, and I've shed a lot of tears over this, and I'm not the only one that shed a lot of tears over it, because I love Loganville, Georgia. And I want to see everything here that's good for our people. And I think that's what everybody wants to say. But whether we like it or not, we have laws that we have to live with. And God in heaven knows I've prayed over this and prayed over it, and I hope all of you have. But still, you have got to stop and think. What are we doing for our town? Are we going to hurt our town? I don't know what to say other than I love this town. As far as traffic, my house is right off of 78 highway. You should try to get out there. We wait sometimes 20 minutes, but there's not a thing I can do about the traffic. Not one thing. And I've been told this over and over and over. If you don't believe, just ask him. I say, we gotta do something about this traffic. I tell everybody on the city council, Jay, don't I? You gotta do something about this traffic. Mr. Boland is on the city council, and he works with me. He's wonderful to work with. We have tried so hard, and people are working now. Our engineer is working for traffic. And, you know, folks, there's so many of you sitting out there that I have talked to and that I love. And I don't know what else to say about this. I don't know what else to say other than I was told we have laws we have to live with. You might not like them, Ms. Jones, but we have to live with them. So tonight, when we make a decision, I don't know what to say other than God help us.
I got a question. I got one question for Mr. Tim. Is sooner or later, something's got to go on that property.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Well, you know that we don't make the final decision here. The city council makes the final decision at their next meeting. So now we have to ask for a motion.
Ms. Janice, I'm sorry, I have somebody from home that's texting me, they're watching, they have a question. Is this allowed?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's really, I don't know. Just gonna read it quick. This comes from a woman by the name of Holly McGee. And she would just like to make a suggestion to you guys. I would highly suggest a wall be built instead of a fence that borders the old Southern Plantation duplexes. I feel it should be a solid wall with a height that will discourage anyone from going through that property. Also landscaping with cypress-type trees. That would be another deterrent.
Is that talking about a fence back here where the cottages are up on the hill?
That's how I understand it. Yeah, she's
I don't
calling
think
it
you can have a fence high enough for that. If you go down there and walk down through there,
yeah.
and everybody's your own feelings, but I don't think a fence would, I don't think that would be any kind of problem.
Holly is suggesting a wall. Well, okay, a wall versus a fence. And that fence was discussed with city council one of the times around. I remember Councilwoman Don was saying.
You know, the builder, that was brought up at the city council meeting, but if you go down there,
Yeah.
you'd have to have a fence that ties that wall right there to protect it.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to go look and see this property and see what's going on back there. I don't know, the voting can make decisions. Anyway, okay. One more time, I didn't get that person's name.
Holly McGee. McGee.
Okay, thank you, Hon.
Thank you.
Okay, folks. Anybody have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve this property.
Second?
I second.
Catherine seconds. All in favor, let it be known by raising your hand high so that we know. All approved? So the motion passes. Okay.
That is all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Amanda made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Melissa seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye.